First off, a description. I'm a 27, going to turn 28 in a month, female, from southern Wisconsin. A little less than 6 years ago, starting late 2010, I had completed and received my high school equivalency diploma. And not even a month later, I attended the community college I received said diploma from. I didn't then, and still don't have my license, so my mum's boyfriend would take me to school in the mornings on his way to work, and another family member would pick me up to take me home. Sometimes I just had day classes, sometimes I had evening and night classes, and sometimes both. On this particular day, I had an evening class on a Friday, and just got out as the campus was closing. My cousin offered to pick me up this evening, but she was taking a while, which didn't bother me. She worked long hours, and on top of that, she also had a toddler to take care of, so I understood. But this is where things turned creepy. As the sun was setting, I remember waiting by the front doors for my cousin to arrive. There was a small walkway, about 15 feet long and about 4 feet wide. I was waiting at the end of the walkway, not even a step between there and the parking lot, when a man, who I had previously seen as the campus janitor, came through the double doors. I don't remember exactly what he looked like, other than he was an older man. Thin and average height with grey hair. But that's all I remember. I think he might have been wearing some kind of baseball cap too. Again, the smaller details are fuzzier. Anyway, he started up small talk, which I didn't mind. It was nice to have someone to talk to whilst I waited for my cousin. On top of that, he kept his distance, which I appreciated, since I'm really shy and a little bit timid. I must admit, though, that, unlike a lot of girls who post these kinds of stories, I'm not attractive at all. I'm average at best. I'm overweight, more so then than I am now, with an average face. However, as minutes passed, he slowly inched closer to me, and his questions became more personal and invasive. I don't remember them all, but I do remember the things like where I lived, if I had a boyfriend, and where was my cousin coming from, and where was she supposed to pick me up. My own answers became short and to the point. This was my polite and small way of showing this guy that he was making me uncomfortable and I wanted to be left alone now, but I didn't have it in me to be blunt or impolite. Anyway, after a few more minutes passed, he disappeared back into the campus, and I breathed a sigh of relief. Thinking the encounter was over, and hoping more than ever to see my cousin's truck. All was good until about 10 minutes later, when a blood-red truck showed up. Thinking this was my cousin, who had a similar-looking truck, I took a few steps forward, but stopped suddenly when I saw who was sitting in the driver's seat through the window. You guessed it. It was the janitor. He pulled down the passenger side window, and I remember him making a small joke about me getting into the truck with him. A few more things were said from his end, but then something came out of his mouth that really pissed me off, but scared the shit out of me instead. Well, I guess your cousin's not coming after all. Or something along those lines. I knew what he was insinuating, but I would never have got in that truck with him. I didn't care if I had to camp out on campus. It wasn't going to happen. What scared me, though, was the thought of this encounter turning really ugly and being forced into this creep's truck. Luckily for me, 2 teenagers had just shown up and were making their way through the college's parking lot. They seemed to just be on a small evening stroll through the country, where the campus was located. Hell, most of Wisconsin is country. I saw the janitor tense up and yell, "Oh, I'll be right back," and sped off. Before I knew it, he was gone. This fact solidified in my mind that he was up to no good. That something creepy was dancing through his mind. That his intentions regarding me and the fact that we were seemingly alone were not innocent or helpful. About 10 or 15 minutes later, my cousin finally showed up, and I had a nice peaceful ride back home. I didn't dare tell her or my mum, which I was still living with whilst I was at school, because I was afraid my mum would make me going to college more complicated. And I have to say that, aside from this encounter, I loved college. I still miss it. I actually miss doing homework. Sleepless nights writing papers and reading textbooks. I wish I could afford to go back, honestly. Anyway, I ended up graduating with an associate's degree in business management spring of 2012, and it felt like such a great accomplishment to me. I also never had any more encounters with the janitor. He never even talked to me again, thankfully. I was still tense up every now and then when I'd seen him, especially just after the encounter. With all that said, thank you to those teenagers who were on an evening stroll through the country. You possibly saved me from being raped, or even murdered, and left in a ditch somewhere in the country. To the creepy janitor that I'm sure had no innocent intentions towards me, I haven't seen you since 2012, and I hope it stays that way.